In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
What's the worst part of doing keto? The meal prep. What you really need is a quick, customizable, and easy keto meal replacement for when your other food options aren't ready. Introducing Keto Chow. It's the fully customizable meal replacement that makes keto easy. Keto Chow takes just seconds to prepare. Add the fat of your choice, a scoop of Keto Chow, water, and shake. Just trust the thousands of 5-star reviews on Facebook, Amazon, and Google Shopping. Keto Chow comes in 18 delicious flavors. And in a third-party blind taste test, Keto Chow outperformed all of the competitors in appearance, flavor, texture, and overall impression.
Head on over to JimmyLovesKetoChow.com to place your order, and be sure to use the coupon code LLVLC at checkout for 10% off your first order. While you're there, be sure to check out the electrolyte supplements. No sweetener, no added flavor, no caffeine, and pure electrolytes. Keto Chow. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website, and if you want to engage live in the content, you got to go follow me over on Instagram Live. I'm at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMEN. Once you're there, you can engage live, just like Rebecca and Refined Foodie and so many others that are coming in right now live. We also simulcast live over here on Facebook Live, so thank you to all you guys for being here today as well. If you missed the live on Instagram, you can actually watch it on replay for up to 24 hours on Instagram. After 24 hours, we do put all of the past episodes up on YouTube. So definitely type in the keyword Jimmy Rants over on YouTube. You will find the show. Finally, the best of the best moments of this here show are in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at JimmyRants.com. Today's Jimmy Rants is one that I've been sitting on for a couple weeks now because I wanted to see how it played out. And it was while we were still in Italy that this started happening, where there was a very major page on Facebook that talks about low carb ketogenic style diets there in South Africa. And in South Africa, they call this way of eating banting. And so banting has become a thing there because of Professor Tim Noakes. And there's been several banting pages set up on Facebook to help support people that want to eat that way. So suddenly, overnight, without any warning, about 2 weeks ago, there was a page on Facebook that had 1.65 million followers on it that suddenly disappeared from Facebook. Gone. Just gone. Overnight. No warning. No nothing. The admins go the next day and they look at it and poof, it was gone. Now, I've had my Instagram page hacked and deleted. So I kind of know what that feels like, but I only had 38,000 followers when that happened. This was 1.65 million followers that overnight, it was just suddenly gone. And so, what are you doing back there?
Taking my supplements.
Okay. You're just making a lot of noise. That's why I was
I
wondering.
can be louder.
You want to be louder?
I can be louder.
Be a lot louder, please. So, it was gone overnight. And so what I want to talk about here today is Facebook has shut down, but now the new wrinkle in the story is they have reinstated this keto group in South Africa. And what I think we need to discuss here today is, what are the greater ramifications of this? Because if they could willy-nilly shut down a Facebook page suddenly like that, what would stop them from coming after any of the rest of us? What would stop them from doing the same thing to my pages? What would stop them from doing the same thing to even some of the bigger pages that are out there, not just on Facebook, but even, let's say, a YouTube channel? Let's say they find these Jimmy rants on YouTube and they go, yeah, we don't like that guy talking the way he talks, so we're just going to shut it down. What would stop them from doing that? So I have this story here today that was written by written on the Diet Doctor website, my friend Dr. Andreas Ianfelt. He has a whole staff of people that write articles. And so they did an article about this story about how Facebook shut it down, this group, and then reinstated them. So the story is called Facebook Shuts Down, then Reinstates Popular Low Carb Support Group. Social media channels and low carb networks were all abuzz this past week with cries of censorship, malicious targeting, and even anti-low carb conspiracy theories when Facebook decided to shut down suddenly a huge South African low carb support group that had 1.65 million followers. After a global hue and cry, Facebook reinstated the platform 48 hours later. This support group is called Banting 7-Day Meal Plans, which I've actually been a part of that. I don't really get to participate in a whole lot of Facebook groups, but that was one that I had been in and seen, and they do a really good job in that page. It was started a few years ago by Cape Town, South Africa low carb advocate Rita Venter, and on her Twitter feed, she said, I started the group to share what helped me lose weight and get healthy. So Banting is what they call low carb, high fat, ketogenic diets in South Africa. The group shares recipes, low carb information and support, and before and after pictures of low carb weight loss success. So the question in this Diet Doctor article, did Facebook deem any of the success stories as being too good to be true? And was it an unnamed panel of scientific experts that rule the group? Did they call this fake news? And see, this is the challenge, you guys. When you promote something like keto, or Banting as they call it in South Africa, and there are people who think that that diet is somehow unhealthy, and we know all the vegan propaganda that's put out there. I talk about that quite often on my Jimmy rants, where the vegans have a very strong, loud voice. Even though they're a very little minuscule part of the greater nutritional health conversation, they get a lot of noise out there. And so people buy into it. And some of these people are like on advisory boards for things like evaluating things on Facebook. And we've seen this happen before. I did a whole Jimmy rants about how some of the advisory members with Wikipedia were very successful at having a lot of us keto, low carb people taken off of Wikipedia. They just totally shut down my page, Maria Emmerich's page, and some of the prominent voices in keto. They just got our pages removed because they don't like the keto message. So we're starting to maybe see this happening on Facebook now. So if you're watching this on my Facebook page, which you guys here are, who's to say that they wouldn't look at this page and go, okay, we don't like what this guy's doing, so we're just going to shut it down. And then suddenly, poof, it's gone. It's really fascinating that they would have that power to do it. And this example, if you're just joining us, there was a Facebook page called Banting 7-Day Meal Plan. It was a group on Facebook out of South Africa, 1.65 million followers, and Facebook just took it down. Totally took it down overnight without warning, without anything. They have since reinstated it because there was such an outcry from the people that followed. But 1.65 million, I'm sure they heard from a lot of people, even if just a small percentage of those people complained, they were going to bring it back. But it's pretty scary to think how easy that was for them to do. And if there's some panel of unnamed experts, they think you're spreading bad information, what would stop them from shutting down a fasting group that Jason Fung runs? What would stop them from shutting down any of us because they deem the information we're sharing as too unhealthy? And with carnivore becoming a thing now in the mainstream, what would stop them if there was a carnivore group that started, only eat meat and drink water? There's some people that would think that that is an incredibly dangerous way to eat and live, and they would push to do the same thing to that group. Guys, this has huge tentacles. This could just be the opening salvo of many groups getting shut down simply because somebody or some group of somebodies just doesn't like what you're promoting. It's really scary when you stop and think about it. So, how did this happen? No one knows. I'm reading again from the Diet Doctor article. What is known is that on May the 14th, without warning or any explanation, Facebook delisted this group's platform. So again, it was called the Banting 7-Day Meal Plan Group. It disappeared from view, and all 1.65 million followers were aghast and bereft, trying to figure out what happened. Venter noted on her Twitter feed that it appeared her Banting 7-Day meal plan group had been the focus of a deliberate campaign to shut them down. Quote, "We were targeted and reported thousands of times in the last few weeks for dispensing medical advice. We don't and never have, so who is trying to silence low-carb, high-fat diets?" So this is a popular way that people complain about people like myself. Oh, you're giving out medical advice. Not once do I ever tell you that I'm a doctor. Not once do I ever give you any instructions. Now, if you ask me a question about keto or about fasting or about cholesterol, and I have knowledge on all of these things, I'm going to answer your question. What I do not do is willy-nilly, without giving any warning or anything about it, I don't just say, now you need to do this. I'm not giving medical advice. That's not what we do here. And see, the internet has made it a fine line for a lot of people about how you dispense information. If you ask a question, there's going to be answers provided online that may not necessarily be accurate. And you just have to know that. That's why I consider the source of any information that you get online. If you ask something publicly on Facebook, there's going to be people that aren't qualified to answer that question starting to answer that question. That's not medical advice. You asked a question and people are responding. But that's pretty par for the course. Now, if you go to a Professor Tim Noakes, for example, and you ask him a question as a public leader on a page, and he answers, he is a medical professional, but he's representing himself as an individual answering the question. And that's what caused all the issue, by the way, with the lawsuit that he had. Somebody had written him on Twitter several years ago now about how to feed their baby coming off of the breast milk. And he said, you could wean them onto a low-carb, high-fat diet. Well, dietitians thought that that was medical advice, and so it went through this whole long, grueling court trial process, when in the end the judge is like, that was just him answering a Twitter question. There was no medical advice involved, but it ruined this man's life for a couple of years because he had to defend himself over this. Now, those of us that aren't medical professionals, we're not tied to any organization or group or medical entity or nutritional health entity, and someone asks a question openly on a Facebook page, for example, you can answer. And so they try to throw out this, you have all these unqualified people on social media giving answers to questions. That's what social media does. It enables a conversation to take place. People ask questions, other people answer questions based on their own experience. Not always is that information accurate, but you give the information to answer their question, and then they can take that information and do with it as they will. A Twitter storm erupted after this big group was removed from Facebook. Again, it's called Banting 7-Day Meal Plan Group. I hope they go over 2 million followers after this dust up. with all the attention they're getting from this. But a Twitter storm erupted. Thousands were decrying an arbitrary censorship taking place, while others supported the principle of Facebook silencing so-called unscientific information. So this is another of those things. They say, well, you can't give out medical advice. There's a lot of medical advice given out on Facebook pages. Another thing they say is, well, there's really no science supporting a ketogenic diet and weight loss and health and blah, blah. You want to bet? There is plenty of science. In fact, in my stack of things, I have a study that is a 2-year study that's about to be published. I'm not allowed to talk about it just yet. It's on embargo, but I have a copy of the study in my hands. 2 years they've been following people doing a ketogenic diet, people with type 2 diabetes and obesity, and it's pretty remarkable results. I will be interviewing one of the researchers from this on the Living La Vida Low Carb show, and that will air when I get back from some of the traveling that I'm doing. That will air in July, so stay tuned for that. But as soon as they get the embargo off of it, I will definitely talk about it here on Jimmy Rants. But we have science supporting this way of eating, and it's disgusting that they would keep continuing to say, well, it's unscientific. It's only unscientific because they don't agree with it. If they agreed with it, it's based on great science. But the fact that it's so against what conventional wisdom says, people have a hissy fit about it. And they throw out it's unscientific, even though there's plenty of science showing that a well-formulated, real foods-based, low-carb, moderate protein, high-fat ketogenic diet is perfectly healthy for your body. One of the prominent Twitter commentators, Kevin Bass, said Facebook made the right move, claiming the group, along with supporting low-carb eating, also supported anti-vaccination information. But Venter, who runs this group, said, well, not all of us are anti-vaxxers. I have 4 adult kids who have all been vaccinated. We are a low-carb, high-fat support group. I don't know where you got the information. It's just wrong. So again, they're trying to convolute the issue a little bit here of, well, they got shut down because they're against vaccinations. When if you've got a group of 1.65 million followers, maybe there's a few people that are anti-vaccination, but I would dare say probably the vast majority of them, that has nothing to do with the group. It's a group about diets, not about vaccinations. A new Banting Facebook support group was immediately started up. Hundreds of supporters started contacting Facebook to complain about the unjustified delisting. By 5:30 Greenwich Mean Time on May the 16th, the original group was reinstated by Facebook. So all 1.65 million followers were able to be following the group again. Venter tweeted, fantastic news. After all the pressure and your amazing support, Facebook reinstated our group. I cannot thank you enough for all that you've done. So the bigger picture here, you guys, is not just that this group was removed from Facebook. That alone is shocking. What's the bigger question here, and what they talk about in this Diet Doctor story, is does this event signal that low-carb groups are coming under a fact-checking review? And to me, it's very fascinating that they would do this to like low-carb keto groups. But I think there's a lot more concerns about maybe some of the vegan groups that are out there. Or what about other groups? I mean, there's all kind of really crazy stuff here on Facebook that they allow to have groups made, and they want to come after people that want to talk about carbohydrate restriction as a health modality. It's pretty fascinating to me that that would be their target. But again, some of these advisory committees that are involved in the removal and policing, so to speak, of Facebook, it depends on who's on there. And if you've got some vegan people on that group, of course they're going to target all of the keto groups that are out there. It is known that over the last few years, Facebook has come under increasing criticism and scrutiny, including getting a grilling before the U.S. Congress. that its global social media platform widely promotes inauthentic content. So this is another reason Facebook is trying to crack down, especially during the last US political election in 2016. There was a lot of shenanigans that were found where they were kind of fake websites that were put out there, and that's where that whole phrase fake news came from. And so they're trying to crack down and save face for themselves by cracking down and removing information that they deem is not real. Okay, so that's probably going into this as well. Facebook Community Standards now set out its plan to stem the proliferation of false news, including reducing the distribution of content rated as false by independent third-party fact checkers. Here's where it gets dicey, you guys. How do they determine who is on that fact checker list? How do they determine what's fact and what's not fact? What if you've got people, like I said, on these fact-checking third-party groups that are pro-vegan and they think anything that has to do with eating meat is somehow fake news, is somehow harming people? This is a slippery slope, allowing this to go on unabated. So who are these fact checkers who determine what's real and what's fake? Last month, the self-proclaimed bipartisan group Science Feedback announced that it was partnering with Facebook as one of the third-party independent fact checkers to review all of the content that's posted on Facebook. It says it uses a network of experts to review and analyze Facebook posts for scientific validity. So it sounds like it's very on the up and up, right? It sounds like, okay, they're looking for things that are sound science and they're going to remove things that aren't. How much of the stuff that you read on Facebook or any social media for that matter do you think is actually based on sound science? How much are they going to have to censor and remove because it's simply not based on sound science? And is that the purpose of social media? Is social media designed to be 100% scientifically sound? How many people just talk about what's happening in their life, and sometimes they talk about things that aren't, quote, scientifically sound, and it just is posted? I would say a lot of the content that's on social media is that way. So it's kind of funny that we started social media as this way of communicating with other people online, and it's now turned into the mission of it being, well, it has to be 100% accurate and 100% sound. Says who? It looks like they're trying to move the goalpost now of what the purpose of social media is. To me, social media is kind of the wild, wild west, and maybe this is their way of reining it in and saying, okay, we've let you run unabated for a long time. Now we're going to put in rules that make you put out information that's more accurate than not. So, who are these experts? The organization says that each of the reviewers contributing to our analyses holds a PhD and has recently published articles in top-tier peer-reviewed scientific journals. Science Feedback describes what it will be doing to keep Facebook fact-based by saying, when we identify viral stories that claim to be based on science in the fields of climate and health for the moment, we invite relevant experts to analyze all of the main claims in the post, image, video, or article, and then publish a review of the item. We also have the ability to report items to Facebook that we find to be false or misleading. Guys, that's scary. What if they decide to see this video that is posting here live on Facebook Live, or here on Instagram Live, or they see it on YouTube? What if they watch this Jimmy Rants episode? What if they look at it and they say, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. None of what he is saying is based on any sound scientific evidence. So therefore, we're going to report that to Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and have that video removed. What would stop them? Nothing. Nothing would stop them. And this is a problem. I think part of the beauty of the internet is alternative viewpoints have been able to get out there. And maybe that's at the heart of this. Maybe since they're targeting climate and health as the primary topics to shut down, maybe part of the issue is the fact that keto and low carb diets have kind of become a thing. And they become a thing primarily because a lot of us that have been sharing information about this have been able to get the information out via social media. If there was no social media, if there was no podcast, if there was no YouTube, do you think the proliferation of low carb, high fat, of keto, of paleo, of carnivore, and all these other nutritional modalities that are popular now, do you think that information would have gotten out there near to the level that it has? Probably not. So maybe this is their way of trying to backtrack some of that and to rein it in and to not allow it to be out there as much. This is really interesting to watch, you guys, especially moving forward. Are they going to silence all of us? I don't know. This process by unnamed experts should concern all of us. Make no mistake, we strongly advocate for evidence-based science around low-carb diets. This is Diet Doctor talking, dietdoctor.com. It is essential to what we do. We have established evidence-based policies for all of the guides. We know that there is plenty of free information online. Much of it is hard to trust. Websites try to push a specific product pill or push an agenda for the people that are funding it. Claims must instead be based on good scientific evidence, and that's always what we strive for. However, many in the mainstream healthcare arena have not yet accepted the growing evidence based behind low-carb eating to improve their health. It is chilling to think that mainstream scientists might be in a position to silence groups on Facebook. Good science does not work this way. It is open to scrutiny, discussion, and debate. Think about this. If they are successful in shutting down anything that runs counter to conventional wisdom, how are we ever going to change that conventional wisdom? And who's to say that the conventional wisdom is based on science? Did you know there is no randomized control clinical trial that shows that eating a vegetarian or vegan diet is going to improve your health and your weight? Did you know there is no randomized control clinical trial that shows a low-fat diet actually has efficacy in the scientific literature? It doesn't exist, and yet they promote it as if it does. They promote it simply because it's been the way we've done things for so long. It's been in the dietary guidelines for Americans. It's been put out there for so long that people by default believe that cutting fat is healthy, that eating whole grains is healthy. And so when you come at it from a different angle and say, well, what if you carbohydrate restrict to control your blood sugar and your insulin and your inflammation levels, and you eat more fat to satiety so that you're not hungry and so that you're able to have energy from an alternative fuel source? When it runs that counter to what's being put out there as the gospel truth and what everybody believes, of course it's going to seem unscientific to so many people, which is why this truly is disturbing, what happened to this Facebook group. Fortunately, in this case, Facebook did a quick about face before we should be, but we should be alert for signs of these kinds of disquieting actions going forward. So guys, the bottom line of this Jimmy Rants is Facebook, yes, they shut down this 1.65 million followers Facebook page, Banting 7-Day Meal Plan. Go check them out, by the way, on YouTube, or on Facebook, and follow them. But this goes deeper than just them. This goes really deep to the heart of all of us that talk about a different message. Now, I've been at this gig for about 15 years, and I've been talking about low-carb diets through first a blog, then I did a YouTube channel, then I started podcasting, then I started writing books, and now I do all kinds of social media, YouTube, everything. What would stop them from just tomorrow, if they decided that I was fake news and that I was not on the up and up when it came to providing scientific information, what would stop them from shutting me down? And at this point, nothing. If they, on a whim, decided, okay, we've had enough of this Jimmy Moore character, let's just shut down everything, they could do it. What would prevent them from shutting down Diet Doctor, the group that runs this page where I read the news story from? What would stop them from doing that? Now, there's enough of you guys that there would be this huge outcry. But would that be enough? It was in this case, and maybe this was a test. Let's take down one of the biggest Facebook pages about low-carb diets online. Why don't we take that down and see how people react? And if they don't react very big, maybe we take down another, and then another, and then another, and then we wipe them all out. So maybe this was just a test. We shall see. I ain't scared, by the way, because if they think they're going to shut up Jimmy Moore, good luck with that. I'll figure out a way to get the message out. But I just thought you guys would find this really interesting today here on Jimmy Rants. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. We're going to start off over on Instagram Live, and then we'll pop over here to Facebook Live. Thanks for being here, you guys. Hello, Chipotle Chick. Thanks for being here. Willing to Change says, I'm on 107 hours of fasting with just water. Thank you for motivating me. That's awesome, Willing to Change. I hope they don't shut down any groups that might inspire you fasting-wise. Val says, do they consider dietary advice the same as medical? These are two different things. Well, unfortunately, anything that would have an impact on your health, they probably try to deem as medical advice. So that would include dietary advice, which I would say doctors, even though they have the MD after their name or whatever other letters they may have, doctors aren't qualified to give nutrition advice. And yet they do. Is that considered medical advice when they tell you to go on a low-fat diet? Val says, my husband now posts his Christian devotional on a separate website because of all this kind of stuff. Yeah, this is the other thing. Will we see a group of people that are disgruntled with the way all of the traditional social media channels are set up? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything, YouTube. Are we going to see alternative sites, and I'm sure they're already being done, pop up that would not censor people just because they're giving alternative information? I think so. There's enough bandwidth on the internet to be able to have alternative viewpoints. And you're not going to crumble under the pressure of having something that runs counter to what you believe. All of us have had things that run counter to what we believe in every aspect of our life that we're exposed to. Are you going to crumble just because someone says, oh, you must eat vegan? No. No, you're not. It's always interesting to see their viewpoint. And if I was someone that did not believe in the ketogenic message, the low-carb message, and I saw a group out there that was talking about it, I would want to keep seeing what they're saying. And if I don't think philosophically it's something I would agree with, then I would want to see what they're saying so that then I could learn, why do they believe what they believe? It's why I like following some vegan groups and other kind of groups that I don't agree with, but I want to see what they're saying, because rational people are embracing these other ways of eating that are different than keto, and I want to see why. Hey Di says, need these groups to give us the truth. Yes. Well, and the groups definitely can give you the truth, but I do think if for some reason the social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, if all these suddenly shut down, think about Dr. Ken Berry has 500,000 subscribers to his YouTube channel. Think if they shut down Ken Berry's YouTube channel. There would be an outcry for sure. But do you think that would shut up Ken Berry? Do you think he wouldn't find some other way of getting the message out? You know he would. You know he would. All right, let's come over here to Facebook Live. Thank you guys for being here. Let's see what you have to say about this censorship happening with the keto groups. Hello, hello. Lots of people here today. Thank you for being here, guys. Kay says, I finally caught another live. Well, thanks for being here. Did you move your chickens to the mountains? So we're not living here in the mountains. We're just staying for a few days. We're actually leaving Thursday morning to go back home right before our trip. We're going on the low carb cruise next weekend. Still got a lot of travel going on, but we wanted to hang out here in our North Carolina place for a few days. I love that t-shirt on you. Thank you. This is one of my favorite t-shirts. It's orange. Feels like we're living in the time of Nazis, says Lindy. It's certainly an interesting time we live in, because at some point something's got to give. Something about the way that we're able to communicate with each other has to happen. And I'm fearful, well, fearful is the wrong word, I don't fear anything. I'm concerned that there is this move to want to silence voices of dissent from the conventional wisdom. And I think that's unhealthy. I think in a civilized society, a healthy debate of ideas on both sides of the issues is always good. There was this popular show on CNN in the 1990s called Crossfire, and they would always have someone from the right and someone from the left, and then they would debate some topic. And at the end of it, they were shaking hands and smiling, and then the viewers at home were able to decide what they believed about whatever the topic was based on hearing both sides of the debate. Where has that gone? Why can we not both have someone articulate why they think meat is evil and someone articulate why they think vegetables aren't a great idea and meat's good, and have that conversation and then let people decide for themselves what happened to civilized debate? No, nowadays they want to shut down a Facebook page simply because it runs counter to what they believe. This is where wisdom of the crowds has to overtake the vision of the anointed. See, Mitzi is a big fan of Tom Naughton because that's his language there. But you're right. The wisdom of the crowd is superseding the vision of the anointed. The vision of the anointed is they want things to be the status quo. And when you say anything or share anything that shakes up that status quo, that makes people shake in their boots. And I know I like to shake up the status quo quite a bit with my work. I love when you get all fired up. Thank you, Benta. The ADA has put keto as a dietary option for diabetics. How can they just dismiss that? Well, Serena, I don't know, to be honest. You're right. The American Diabetes Association has finally embraced keto as an option for people with type 2 diabetes. And they based it on the research that was put out last year by the Virta health group that did a 1-year study looking at diabetes with a ketogenic diet. And so there is evidence that's out there. They're just not wanting to pay attention to that evidence. You give descriptive info, says Mitzi, not prescriptive info. Well said, Mitzi. And again, if someone asks you a question and you've written books about the topic that they're writing about to you, or in Christine's case, a nutritional therapy practitioner, and someone asks her a question, you can give an answer to said question. It's so amazing to me how people get in a tizzy. Well, you're not qualified to talk about it. And I've had this quite a bit over the years myself. Well, you're not an MD, you're not a PhD, you're not you don't have any letters after your name. And I'm like, proudly so. Proudly so. I don't need letters after my name to be able to provide information that is sound, scientific, and will help people. And I think this whole notion of you have to have letters after your name in order to share any information, I get it. It's opening the door to people giving bad information. I do get that. But who is the purveyor of what's good information and what's bad information? Who is the one that gets to determine what the good is and what the bad is? And will we get to the point where you're not allowed to say anything unless you have letters after your name? Is there enough people with letters after their name in the world to be able to help all the people that have questions and deal with the day-to-day-ism of trying to understand how to eat and how to live and how to be healthy? I don't think so, which is why people like myself and others that don't have letters after our name are critical to helping others get healthy. Let's see here. I'm sitting next to a giant box so I can see, watch you rant, LOL, says Luann. She's sitting next to a giant box, Christine. It's probably the picture that we got. Robin says, how much liability does the group creator have over member responsors? At 6,000 members, I can monitor well. At 1.65 million, no one can scrutinize every comment. And see, Robin, you're bringing up a good point here. If you have a Facebook page with 6,000 members, my Facebook page, my Live in La Vida Low Carb Facebook page has 55,000 members, or this Banting one has 1.65 million members, you can't be responsible for what they share on your page. Every little comment. Everybody is responsible for their own comment. And if someone says something stupid on your page, you as the admin of your page should not be held responsible. If they want to go after someone for saying something stupid or that they deem inappropriate, you don't shut down the group where they posted it. You go to them and you say, hey, look, you can't say that, and remove their individual comment, not the whole group. It's weird. Mitzi said they need to apply the sound science requirements to the nutritional guidelines from the USDA. Yeah, Mitzi, they would fail miserably, as you well know. Janet said, I will get off Facebook. The keto groups are the only reason I'm here. Yeah, Janet, I think that you're not alone in that sentiment. And I do think that there will be other, and it's probably already in the process of happening, other social media sites that will not censor, that will pop up in place of Facebook and others. I'm sick of people trying to ruin other people's lives, or run other people's lives. I guess ruin them too, Kathy. Yes. I heard Dr. Berry in an interview with Dr. Nadler say that coconut oil and avocados and avocado oils are all inflammatory. This goes against what I learned in the beginning of my keto life. MCT oil in my coffee. What's your opinion? So that's a general question, Enid. Thank you for asking that. If you will write to me a private message, or if you will email me, jimmy@llvlc.com. We generally stay on topic with what we're talking about. I have some thoughts about that, and Christine is over there chomping at the bit to come answer, but stick around. Maybe in the Jimmy Rants after party, we'll be able to answer that question for you, so stay tuned. Try and see how it affects you. Everyone is different, says Kathy. So there you go. There isn't a law that says you can't say something stupid. It's called free speech, says Kathy. Yeah, I don't want to shut people up. I want people to keep talking and hang themselves with their stupid ideas. If they're saying something stupid, let it bear itself out, and everybody will know it's stupid. Yeah. All right, let's go back over here. Imperfectly Healthy says, what has happened to personal responsibility, freedom of speech, and choice? Well, sadly, I think some of that is going by the wayside. But I don't think it should silence us from speaking out when we have something to say. We don't need to. I think the fact that Facebook wants to shut down a popular page simply because there was people that complained about the page. Again, who are these people? And why do their voices matter more than the 1.65 million people that were on the Banting page that got deleted from Facebook? It has since been reinstated, but that's not the point here. The point is they were able to take it down, and take it down swiftly without any warning. It just came down. It's disgusting. Imperfectly Healthy says, I hope Instagram doesn't go this way. Well, you know who owns Instagram, right? Same people. So, yeah. And like I said, I got hacked in November, my Instagram page, and they completely took it down, the hacker. 38,000 followers on Instagram. And as of right now, I'm back over 11,000 again, but it's taken that long just to get back to 11,000. So it's devastating if something like that happens and it gets removed. But that was a hacker. That wasn't Instagram taking it down. It wasn't Facebook taking down a popular banting group like what happened here. So the bottom line in this Jimmy Rants, guys, is Facebook shut down a very popular keto group called Banting 7-Day Meal Plan. They shut them down right here on Facebook. Now, thankfully, there was enough of an outcry over it getting shut down because people complained about it, and they brought it back up within 48 hours. But what would stop them from doing this to any of this? What would prevent them from doing this exact same thing to any of us that talk in a different way than the conventional wisdom? Luann says, if that's the sole reason for shutting it down, then all the pages would be down because there are always going to be people who don't agree with every page. Exactly. That's exactly right. If people are in the world and there's somebody writing something somewhere, they could say the sky is blue and someone will say, no, it's green. And there's always going to be dissent. And I don't think dissent is reason enough to shut and silence voices that you don't agree with. It's not reason enough, which is why I wanted to talk about it here today on Jimmy Rants. That's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, you can engage live in the content over here on Instagram Live. I'm at Livin' Low Carb Man, LivinLowCarbMan. Once you're there, you can engage live. We also go live here on Facebook simulcast. Stick around for the after party, Jimmy Rants after party, in just a few minutes here, so hang tight, you guys. If you missed the live over on Instagram, be sure to check it out on Facebook, or excuse me, where do we go next? 24 hours on Instagram. My brain went to a brain fart for a second.
All right.
Then it goes to YouTube, not Facebook. See, Facebook's here, YouTube's up there in the cloud, like my head's right now.
Uh-huh.
YouTube, type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants. Can you tell I'm still in vacation mode? My brain is just not here, so... YouTube, type in Jimmy Rants as a keyword search. You will find the show. Finally, the best of the best moments of this here show are in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at JimmyRants.com. And Perfectly Healthy says, thank you for all you do. Well, thank you for being there, because if there wasn't a you there, Facebook and Instagram couldn't shut me down yet. Not that I want that to happen, but believe me, you guys, if they tried to pull this crap with me, bring it. Bring it. Because I got a lot of friends that would make a lot of noise, and they would rue the day that they ever tried to shut me up. So until next time, Instagram Live, we'll see you then.